The Michigan State Spartans just barely fall short on the aircraft carrier to number 2 Gonzaga. And this was, if you ask me, a good sign going forward for Michigan State. Tom Izzo has his team ready, as always. Nate Dickinson here with the post-game quick pod for you with reaction to a 64-63 Gonzaga win over Michigan State in the second game of the season for both teams over at the U.S.S. Abraham Lincoln in San Diego on the aircraft carrier. The Spartans in the first half of this game looked outstanding. Michigan State was doing what it needed to do to keep things hectic for Gonzaga. It was looking like a classic game in which Tom Izzo's team came ready to play and the other team did not. Michigan State in transition was outstanding. Nasty on both sides in getting buckets and then also getting turnovers and getting quick in transition to get 2 buckets. They were turning over Gonzaga throughout most of the first half. They were running up and down the floor on every opportunity possible, and it seemed like Gonzaga was just on its heels for the entire first 20 minutes. But I don't know if Mark Few made a change at halftime or slightly after halftime, but then Gonzaga started to realize where it was going to be able to hurt Michigan State in the post. The defense inside had been iffy throughout for Michigan State, but late in the second half, as Gonzaga started to make its comeback, they went really, really hard in there to that post with Drew Timme and anybody else who they wanted to throw up against the Michigan State defenders. It just was not there. Foul trouble was a factor for both teams, so I'm not going to blame either side's foul trouble for what really hurt it. But it is important to note out Joey Hauser was kept out of this game for a lot of it and really made a non-factor by the fouls. Finishes with just 2 points, 0 field goals made on 5 shots. That hurts Michigan State a lot. There was an opportunity, though, even with that, for the Spartans to win this game. Michigan State at a certain point should have won this game, up 12 points midway through the second half. That team needed to get that win to set the season off on a really high note. Instead, of course, you're perfectly happy going forward by only losing to the number 2 team in the country by 1, but you knew that you had this win. You knew that it had it in your grasp, and you just couldn't quite finish the job down the rest of the way. Drew Timme took over, whether it be him actually scoring the basketball down low or him distributing after Michigan State was forced to collapse in on him when he got that touch in the high post or lower. It was really just the only thing that you can, I think, be worried about if you're a Michigan State fan going forward is the fact that it doesn't look like Michigan State can really stop any sort of bigs down low. And when you're dealing with a Trace Jackson Davis or a Hunter Dickinson in the Big Ten, that's going to be pretty important. Again, Joey Hauser doesn't get too much time to be much of a factor with the foul trouble, finishes with just 2 points. In his absence, Mady Sissoko gets 14, Malik Hall with 11, but Michigan State falls just short at the very end. Spartans really couldn't get much of a play together in the last possession. Looked like Gonzaga may have been able to get them a bit disoriented in what they were doing out of that timeout, but that was one of the few times in which Michigan really looked like it was playing one of its first game of the season and looked disorganized. It was, in the first half, signature Tom Izzo stuff. Michigan State just coming ready to play and hitting you right off the bat and getting you off balance. But Gonzaga's Gonzaga because it knows how to get back into those kind of games. It did exactly what it needed to do. And now the Bulldogs have another win. Michigan State has another loss. It's going to look good at the end of the season come tournament selection time. But at least for now, for tonight, Michigan State fans are certainly feeling like they could have pulled off this upset and came up just short. As short as you can come up. Again, final score 64-63 in favor of Gonzaga. I'll be back here with more on everything that happens over the weekend in the Big Ten on Monday here on Locked On Big Ten, where you can get everything you need to know on the conference every single weekday.